What is up, everybody? Episode 71 WIwrestle podcast. Man, crazy couple days. Teague said it best, that state hangover, a little groggy in the brain. But Nate, how you doing today?
I think I'm good. I'm good. It was a great weekend of wrestling. I think everybody has a little bit of that. I don't even want to call it a state hangover at this point. I think I talked to a lot of people, and it seemed like a lot of people caught a cold or the flu or some sort of sickness, and kind of in that boat just a little bit too. I'm starting to get over it at this point, but the past couple of days was did not feel as well as I might have liked. But state tournament was great, Jake. Had a great time and some good wrestling. So
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Ton of good wrestling. State show on Wednesday night was awesome. Shout out to Mel Dow, Todd Clark, all the people at the WIA. Beth, I don't know her last name, but they were a big help in getting that set up. I guess it was like the first time in like 15 years they didn't have like an event the night before, so we kind of got
yeah,
lucky with that. Who knows if it happens again? We don't know. But I think last year they didn't get done setting up till like 3 a.m. So um, the year
I
that we
hope
want
we
to do it,
I
it would be
hope we can be
sweet.
back. That was a blast. That stage show was a lot of fun. A couple people asked me, they're like, "Why are you standing?" And I was like, I don't know. I felt comfortable standing, and the way the tables were laid out, I felt like if I sat down with Teague facing you guys, then I was kind of like out of it. So I don't know. And I like standing. I was just comfortable standing.
Hey, I'll be honest. Towards the end there, my knees are starting to hurt. I was like, man, I'm kind of jealous of Nate standing. But shout out to Caden and Crosby for manning the camera, running the controls behind the laptop and the computer. We had some amazing guests, so shout out to them for hopping on. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But man, what a great weekend we had. Hopefully everyone enjoyed all the articles and stuff. I had a lot of fun doing the seeds. It was a little tedious at times trying to keep track of every single seed that was upset, but it was a lot of fun to go through after the rounds and be like, oh, look at who beat who and whatnot.
Do you have
Um,
a final total on how many that may have gotten upset? Like, do you know how much that was or no?
I did
Or
not, but
upset, quote unquote, just like, yeah.
I did not, but I could definitely find that number. It seems like a lot. There was a lot of 8 and 9s, which is to be to.
Right.
I mean, you figure that, but there was I was looking at track. They had the highest placers by like seed differential. I think Zerbal was the highest. I think he was a 13 seed.
Dribble, I was gonna say something about him. I think it was ranked or seeded 11th or 12th or something like that coming in. Um, and he may have had the best weekend out of anyone in terms of just outperforming where you thought they may have finished. He was pinning guys too. Like his cradle he was just rolling, and he got hot, and he showed what he's capable of. Um, yeah, it was fun to watch him. I just kept after I don't know. I think it was after a second match. I was like, man, he's feeling himself right now, and I think he got a pin in the third place match as well. Um, yeah, he had a great weekend.
Yeah,
Great
Zerbal
season.
was a 12 seed. He took third.
7-2.
Um,
Sorry, pin in the Conti semis in 41 seconds.
it's gonna be a good feeling. There
Yeah,
was tied for one. If you look at the largest seed place difference, you got Zerbal was a 12 seed taking third. Maddie Sorensen was a 15 seed taking sixth, and then Dakota Athlete was a 12 seed taking third. So those are the three biggest seed difference in terms of seed and place. But no, a lot of fun making that article. If you guys haven't seen it, we're actually live right now on YouTube. We have a YouTube. The purpose of the YouTube is kind of just make it easier for people to see all the matches that we've got. Big cheese matches, little cheese matches, all the events that we do, some finals.
yeah. It's for the old content, stuff that has been done a year ago or 8 months ago or whatever it is, a place where you guys can find it easily with the search feature. We know that's something, again, Rokfin isn't our website, it's the website that we use. So some of these things that we know that probably need upgrades or changes, we've been told that they're coming. They're just not there yet. And one of those being like a search feature to find, old matches or old vlogs or whatever it is if you want to watch old content. So it's on YouTube, and if you go check that out, make sure to leave a like or subscribe to the channel to help
Thumbs
support
up.
that. Yeah, but if you're a Rokfin subscriber, which we hope that you are, you'll still get all the premium content, and it's not getting put somewhere else. Like a vlog from last year at state or junior duels or something. Yeah, that's on there, but stuff that's like relative to current won't be on there for a while. So don't worry in that sense. You're still getting the premium content. But yeah, if you aren't a Rockfin subscriber, please consider subscribing to us. I don't think we really talk about that much. But if you liked all the things that we did this past weekend at state or the things that we've been doing, um, just please consider subscribing and help supporting us so we can continue to do it. Because, yeah, I think we've done some good things and made some good coverage of the sport.
Yep, 100%. And as we grow, we can get more people involved and continue to cover it even better. But shout out to Mateo and Brooke. They were on the floor with us. They did an amazing job. And then shout out to the Petersons, man. They crushed it on the photos. They they were shooting every second. As Brett would say, back to the trenches, and he's down there shooting. But I
They
do
don't
have
stop.
one.
They sent us the finished photos at, was it 1 a.m. the first night after Thursday night. They sent us the link to they went through all their photos that they took, and they take literally. I think they had like, I mean, you got to think they had, I think, 1,000+ photos from like Thursday night or
Man,
something, and that's just the ones that they posted and didn't like clean out and be like, oh, can't use that. So that's, yeah,
yeah.
they
I mean,
grind. They grind.
they were moving all over the place, and there was a couple people that were upset that we didn't get pictures of certain individuals, and it's like, hey man, they're covering 8 mats, 4 different divisions.
It's like
I think
560 wrestlers or something like
they
that.
crushed it. So
And no one's paying them or us to take individual photos of someone. We just, hey, take photos of who you want to take photos of, or wherever you see something cool happening.
100%. But yeah, shout out to them, shout out to everyone involved. It was awesome. Um, we'll keep her moving here. I got this one picture now. It is not a Brett and Jenny Peterson photo, but we were tagged in this photo, and this photo gets me hyped up. This
Might be
is
the coolest photo
such
I've seen
a cool
all weekend.
photo. This was a Saturday night photo before the finals during the Grand March. And wow, does this show the state of Wisconsin? I mean, this is a beautiful photo, sold out. I think the Kohl Center holds what, 17,000 people? I mean, can you get a better environment than this? I mean, this is amazing when I saw this.
Unbelievable. Yeah, man, I could
Gives me
stare at that photo
goosebumps.
for a while. Yeah, that's crazy. It's just how awesome was Wisconsin wrestling? How awesome is that photo? Uh Man, there's no better venue to wrestle your state finals matches. There's no better state to wrestle the state finals matches unless you're at heavyweight or something, and some of you softies are walking out the door early because you got to get home, or you don't want to
It
wait in
is
traffic.
it is amazing that they did this big vote this year, and it's a big thing, right? The WIA is all pumped up about it, and then we start at 6. But man, was it kind of sad that Coy got his hand raised for his 4th title in dominant fashion, and half the damn place is empty. It's like, man, come on, come on.
Yeah, you have
Is
two
there
Wisconsin greats wrestling at heavyweight at the very end there, like
is there
two
that many
big.
is there that many people that are that old school that want 6 to start?
Yeah, I
Is
don't
that
know. I was wondering what the reason is. It either old school or they're like, well, 190 for heavyweight might be wrapped up, 215 might be wrapped up. The couple of heavyweight matches, they're like, well, I can get out the door early or something. Well, if that's the case, like, come on now, it's Saturday night. What do you got to hurry home for? Like, I get maybe you're not going out and socializing afterwards. That's fine. That's fine. You just still like, maybe you got to wait an extra 5-10 minutes in some traffic. Oh well.
But I was very surprised at the vote. A couple people were like pretty like, oh, we gotta start at 6, but whatever. Keep it moving here. Seating. You were kind of not the most
I was dogging
happy
it,
with
Jake.
the
I was
seating.
dogging
You
the
were
seating.
yes, you were not a fan. Now that it's all said and done, let's hear your thoughts.
I mean, I didn't go through all the stuff. I didn't go through everything to see where people shaked out and what the percentages of where there's of their seeds. But I read one stat. I think it was maybe Sunday morning. I can't remember where I found it though. But the seating worked out pretty well. I think I overreacted a little bit, but at the
Huh.
same time, like when you have even one or two of these like what do you want to call them? Like head scratchers of seeds, that's one or two too many because and there's another thing I got to say, but that's one or two too many just because like that's one kid who honestly could maybe should be on the podium depending on what that seat is, and then they're not because you're left with a head scratcher. Why the heck is he seated where he is? Caleb Delabrew, great example. He beat Boziel 4 times this year. Boziel was the 2 seed, Delabrew was the 6 seed. Going into state, Boziel had 3 losses, all to Delabrew. Delabrew punches his ticket to the finals, wins, takes out the 4-1 and the 2 seeds. That's pretty awesome. But then the other issue with the seeds is like sometimes maybe you don't think about like I think it's what is it, the 8 through 12 seeds, especially in like D2 or D3. My dad can quiet his mouth. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's in the chat right now saying I don't or he's
Nate
making
overreacted. Weird.
yeah. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, pops. No, but then the other thing that really like gets you worried about the seeds, I think, is especially in like D2 and D3 is like um, even in D1, but like say those like 8 through 12 seeds, Jake, if you win in your, I don't know, 8-9 battle or 10 and I don't know what it is. I'd have to look. But you get what I'm saying. And you move up and you have to wrestle within the 1 or the 2 seed. A lot of those guys are almost guaranteed to go 0-1. They don't even get that second match to state tournament because again,
Not even
whoever
0-2
wins.
barbecue. You're going 0-1.
Yeah, at the state and then you have to go up and like so you mess up 1 or 2 seeds and it's like, well, this guy's cooked. The next guy is supposed to go take out Aiden Sinclair, and if he doesn't, I'm out. I'm out of the tournament. Like
You're
that's
eating
not
Dippin' Dots in
cool.
the stands after that.
Yeah, that's not cool. So I think yeah, seeds did pretty well. And I maybe overreacted on that part, but I still think when you have even a couple of slip ups and head scratchers throughout, D1 and D2, D3, that turns into 10, 15 kids that are left with really bad seeds or spots that kind of head scratch you, and that's not right. So
Yeah. Man, if there's one thing after this weekend that I just love to see in the future is just give us a full wrestle back and let's make these full matches. That's my two things that I think is just super
mhm.
important. I
Yeah.
understand the time thing, but man, this is like 3 days out of the year. We can't pull a couple strings to make this. This is the state tournament, but
Figure it out.
yeah,
If you want something bad enough, you can figure it out. That's the truth.
yeah. And it's like maybe we shorten those breaks just a smidge, throw a couple matches in there. I don't know, but
I don't know. Maybe it's like because they say time constraints. Maybe you just got to pay for more time. I don't know how that all works. How I literally have no idea how all that works. But money talks. I know that.
it does. This was not in the notes. I wanted to throw this in. This is a late addition, but I listened to the Ben's video on the officials thing. I thought that was kind of
Oh,
interesting. I'm curious. We don't have to get too in depth on it, but I'm curious to hear some people in the chat. Maybe they have some comments about it. But um, it's definitely something I noticed throughout the year. Was like if you're
what did
winning,
he say? The people that didn't are probably so lost. So what did he say?
just saying about how stalling on the top man when he's winning has just been way more stall calls that aren't warranted, pretty much. And that if you're going to call it like that in the third, you got to call it like that in the first. And that it seems like they're always dinging the guy that's winning. And there's a few cases throughout the tournament. But it's even something I saw a lot during the season. It's like you got a guy that's winning by a lot, and maybe 30 seconds left. Maybe he's not working as hard the turn, but he's up by like 10 points. What did we call him stalling for? He's obviously the whole match. He has scored points. He's been the
Yeah,
dominant
like
player. It's just weird.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like I feel like refs are definitely thinking or willing to call stalling. It's maybe he's not working like a madman to turn someone anymore, get the takedown. Maybe their pace just slowed down to the level that, yeah, it's the third period. They're up by 4 points. Their pace has gone to the level of the guy that they're wrestling. Like a lot of times the guy that was wrestling the whole first 2 periods, sometimes they weren't even shooting. Like Is that not stalling? They're just trying to pressure the whole time, and now the other guy's just trying to hold position instead of shooting. That doesn't mean they're stalling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I agree there. The other one though is I thought. What did you think of roughing this weekend? Because I thought overall it was pretty good, but I mean, there's a couple of things that was like, holy,
There's
it
there
was
is
bad.
one there's one that stood out to me. There was one. It was in the first
There was
round.
one in the was it there was a first round match, and I'm not going to get into the details of who it was. If you saw it, you would know. But like, there was one that stood out in the first round. This kid got dinged for stalling twice in the literally I think the last 30 seconds maybe. And then
He got hit 3 times in 40 seconds.
3 times in 40 seconds. So then instead of being up by what would have that been?
He was up
3
by
points. They were up by 1 then. And then they gave up a not takedown, but they gave up a takedown, but it was like so very clear after the period ended in the third period that they should have won. It was unbelievable. I was watching the whole thing. It was so clear that that takedown came after the whistle or after time ran out, but then the ref awarded it to them. And I two things to say on that. One, just terrible call, just giving those stalling calls, like just terrible call. But then the other was like the takedown, and I think part of it, honestly, I think part of it came from um, the coach that was in the corner of the athlete that ended up losing kind of just like freaked out and lost it on the ref. And I totally understand that completely. There's the way everything transpired. I understand it. But I think when you're coaching, there's a game that has to be played with the referees. I'm not saying you got to butter them up, but when you try to, when you talk down on them,
Yeah,
and you
I
talk
agree with
above
that.
them, or you yell at them, refs, this is just people in general. They are gonna dig their heels in, and they're not gonna want to change their call. They're not gonna want to negotiate, whatever they may. Like you have to like be cordial with refs, whether you like it or not, because in situations like that, they do hold the power to. And the coach freaked out, and I think the ref just dug his heels and was like, no, no, he got the it was that was a crazy call. That was a terrible call.
Yeah. A couple I'm looking at some comments here. I Maybe this is a bad take. I hate the take that if you're going to complain about it, you should be like right here. That said, people complaining about it should pony up and get certified to help fix it. I hate that response. It's like, oh, if
I'm
you have an
busy.
issue with it,
I'm doing other stuff.
just go be a ref. We can be critical of the people calling officiating matches of any sport. It doesn't mean you have to go be a ref. Then I don't know that. I feel like whenever refs are criticized or evaluated, it's always like, well, be a ref then. It's like, well, that's just not always the case. But anyways,
I would agree. I think it's fair. You can be critical about anybody in any of their positions of whatever the job. People are critical of us doing this. They give us critiques. That's fine. You're right. Sometimes
but
there's stuff that you're right about.
yeah, but yeah, definitely something that was interesting. I thought for the most part it was pretty good refing, but there was just a few circumstances where it's like, man, like maybe, like Tim said, maybe call a stalemate, bring them back, but whatever. Um, Keep her moving here. You actually, this is the question that you posed here. Did the finals seem a little less exciting to you this year? I want to hear your
What,
thoughts on this one.
what did you think they were less excited? I posed the question. What do you think?
I think I would say yes, a little bit more blah than years past, and I think it maybe it's just because of the well, one, it sucked that or Connor didn't get the wrestle, kind of lose a little bit of thunder. Um, I think a lot of matches we kind of knew the outcome, and I'm not
Oh,
saying
there's a lot of those. I
there was
think.
a lot of matches where it was like, well, we know who's going to win this one, we know who's going to this one. I felt like D2 and D3 finals were a little bit more exciting just because it was some toss-up matches. There was a lot more back and forth. You think, for example, the Martin match where he gets pinned, and
That's
there-
crazy.
that was like craziness. Where these are back and forth 1 and 2 in the state where it's very competitive. Whereas D1, maybe we didn't see that as much. Maybe we had a lot of guys that are just so dominant that was kind of like, well,
120 was good. 165 was good. Those were matches you weren't sure. Max A was impressive, I thought. Um, let's see.
fun,
106, you
that
weren't
was a fun
really
match. I love watching
sure.
Max Hay wrestle.
Yeah, who doesn't? Honestly, if you don't, you just don't like fun wrestling, like entertaining. He is good.
Um,
Yeah. The D1 probably had like what, 5 matches maybe where you were like oh, this will be exciting. You don't know who's going to win. Fireworks could happen. And then some of the other ones, yeah, D2, D3, I think had more. You're right, but there's
But
still matches where you knew who's going to win.
yeah, some crazy matches though. I guess we'll start off with the lighter weights. Man, what a crazy match! Brooke Corrigan taken out by Ava Gardner. I know Ava lost to her last year in the semis, I believe, maybe 7-5. And I think Ava was a little banged up after the semifinals match, but she poured it on. Wow, did she
That
look
was
good?
Jake. That was maybe the result I was most least expecting of the finals.
Us.
That was crazy. Her dad came up to me. I was standing at the table of the media, and he came up because he was sitting right down there for her finals, and I think it was her dad, and he was like, "Ava's winning tonight." And I was like, I mean, well, I don't blame you for that thought, but in my head, I was kind of like, "Yeah, I think it'll be a good match, but I'm definitely favoring Brooke here." And holy smokes, yeah, that was wow.
Poured it
That was
on.
dominating. So I think she put Brooke on her back like 3 times in that match for all the counts. Brooke, like, wouldn't bail out, though. She would, like, defend a shot, and she was, like, refusing to try and give up the takedown, and a couple of times she went right to her back from it, so she just gave up 5
We
times.
we talked about what match was it? It was a first round match. I can't remember who it was, but like there was a couple times we are watching some of these matches. It's like bail out. You're either holding a cradle or you're holding a certain position, and it's like you're going to your back. Just give up the two, cut the loss.
Yes.
And
Yeah, we saw a couple people try suicide cradling, and the other person gets their arm out,
it's
and
like,
now
got
they're stuck on
bail.
their back. They're trying to bridge them through the cradle. It's like, no, 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 you need to let go right now.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, looking at some of these finals here, was there any? I'm scrolling through the D1 results right now. Obviously, 120 was good. 106 was a lot of fun.
I didn't think Fitzpatrick and Dolphin would go the way it did. I knew Fitzpatrick was obviously rolling and has just wrestled great all year. I just thought it would stay more competitive. And soon as Fitzpatrick started cutting him right away, I was like, oh boy. Like that, like soon as that started happening, I'm like, okay, this could get ugly. Um, it's fully official. You can completely say he has jumped levels. Even I think he jumped another level even again during the season. But his folk style is so dang good. Um, yeah, that was a result I was not expecting to see.
Well, it's something that just makes him so much better than the rest is his ability to finish is so fast. I mean, he is in on your legs and he's taking you down immediately, and it's a hard finish every time, and it just completely eliminates any scrambling,
Family.
unnecessary energy. Like, is so efficient with his shots, and it's like that's such a that's such an issue for so many people. Yeah, he looked great. A lot of fun to watch him.
Did
I
you
was what was that?
go ahead?
I was talking to a couple kids and like, what was your favorite person to watch? This and that, and a lot of Fitzpatrick. A lot of people like watching Jake.
Did you watch Denny and Crook by chance? I was sitting right there for that one.
I did not get to watch it. I was down on the other mat. I'm trying to think of what I was at. 165 would have
No,
been.
maybe. No, he's 57.
I was sitting in between D2 and D3 for Walsley. They
Oh,
got put to his back early. That was crazy. Ended up coming back and he put those
yeah. Then
bumps
he
in,
gets
and it
on
was
top.
a good night.
He just doesn't. Right.
But I was by the mat for Rule and
Yeah.
Vandenbush in
Once he
D3.
gets on top of it, it's just
Were you were mat side for that, didn't Denny and Crook?
no. I was just gonna say, yeah. Denny and Crook was good. It was 0-0. I thought it'd be a real competitive match. I wasn't sure because of knowing how good Liam was on top. My thought was, can Liam turn him? Because if he couldn't turn him, I didn't think he would take him down. I thought Denny would be the favorite on their feet, even though it was 0-0. So I was like, if Liam can turn him, that was his path to winning. So I remember sitting there, and you could say hindsight bias, but I remember sitting there in the moment, and it went 0-0 after the period, and Denny had the choice to either go, top, bottom, or neutral, and he chose bottom, and I was like, okay. I remember distinctly in that moment, I was like, I would have gone neutral just because like in my head, I'm like, well, I know Liam's best position is he's really, really good in that position. He is really damn good on top. And I was like, I know his best position, and he wasn't able to take you down. And I know you didn't take him down, but I was like, maybe, in my head, I'm like, maybe you just stay out of that position altogether if you can, right? If he didn't get a takedown on you, then he still doesn't, he still doesn't get to be in his best position. But instead, you're giving it to him. So my thought was, you're going to need a takedown either way, because if you did get that escape, right, and then Liam goes down and he does get an escape, it's 1-1, so you still needed a takedown. So in my head, I was like, you should just go neutral. He went down. Liam rode hard, got the turn, and then the third period came. Liam was up 3-0, and coach in the corner was like neutral, and Liam said down, and I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. He's like, he's a smart man. Liam's, he's not a dumb wrestler. He knows what he's doing, and you just got, when you go down to the third period and you got a 3-point lead, like, you can look active and kill some time. You know what I mean?
Oh
And he
yeah.
did a good job at it because he did get to his feet, and he got eventually. Denny ended up having to cut him, but Liam was able to build up a few times, able to kind of hold his base on bottom and tick off the seconds. He did what he had to do in that third period to get the dub. So he's, in a sense, I would say that's smart wrestling. But I thought it was a good, entertaining match, and because it was close the whole time, it really kept you in to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking that. I mean, that's the other issue with the finals for us is we're on the floor. You don't really watch one match at a time. I really didn't even get to see any of it. I saw the hand raise on social media because you had a clip of it. But thinking of some other matches, I thought Dawson Johnson kind of showed his dominance in terms of just
Silence the doubters.
7-2 over undefeated Elliot Biba. Kind of just showed, hey, I'm a four-timer. I'm here to stay, or I guess not to stay, but you get the point.
Yep.
Looking at some of the other matches. I thought Moline and Lewick was a good one, 7-5 in favor of Moline. I thought Lewick looked good, a little closer than I thought. And then the one that kind of just confused me was Gratz and Hoffman. And I don't know if Hoffman thought he was like tied up or winning or what was the
I'm
deal.
guessing that's what he thought. I
At
had
the
to.
end, I was like, you're losing. And he just stood there in a stance. And like for almost a minute, we are on the feet. And I was like, what is going on? I thought that was interesting.
And he put his toes back on the line right at the end of the third period, like immediately, like he knew or thought they were going to overtime. And he
Yeah.
looked so confused when they had to explain to him that he was losing 2-1.
Definitely interesting. Looking at some of these girls' results here.
Brooke Huffman,
Yes,
holy,
Brooke
holy
Huffman,
hell.
41-0 with all falls. Track Wrestling has it wrong. I got confirmation that the ultimate tiebreaker match she had was a first period pin. So I don't
How do you mess that up?
I don't know how that's messed up, but someone fixed that because when I was doing the preview article, I was looking at her results and I was like 10-second pin, 30-second pin. I was like, oh, a 2-minute and 37-second pin. I was like, ultimate tiebreaker against a girl with 9 losses doesn't seem right. And sure enough, I got fact checked. That's unbelievable. 41-0, all falls, all within the first 2 periods.
That's like,
That's
so
insane.
now it begs two questions. One, is that considered the perfect season, or do you have to have every fall in the first period? Because I think one match made it out of the first period or something like that.
Yeah, that's a perfect season. If you pin
Yeah,
someone in regulation, you can't look at the periods. That's a perfect season. That is unreal. Is that
that's
ever?
what I'm thinking, right? Like if you were talking a perfect game in baseball, who cares if you get a whole full count with one batter? Like,
Yeah,
who cares?
you're
You
not
didn't.
only throwing strikes every pitch.
Yeah, yeah. So that's crazy.
Unbelievable.
And then my other thought, the other question I think that has to be raised is, will she do this for the next 3 years after this?
Yes.
Will anybody ever not get pinned by Brooke Huffman?
At this rate,
Because
I don't
you
know.
can't say yeah, she's literally on pace to do just that.
She didn't just beat these girls. Like, she like it's
She's bowling
insane.
out.
Like the physicality she has as a freshman. So she's what, 13, 14, whatever, how old a freshman is nowadays. She was just so much more physical than these girls, and these girls could not stand. Like they literally couldn't stand. I mean, they were getting snapped into the mat. I was like, wow. So it'd be really interesting to see. Super excited to see her in the off season. I know she's big in freestyle. Excited for that. But man, there was a lot of good girls matches. Maddie Peach looked really dominant throughout the whole season. She's undefeated as a sophomore. Pretty cool that Tyson and Maddie won state titles next to each other. I can only
That was
imagine
really
what the
cool.
rest of the parents felt and the coaches.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw a comment about that. That made me laugh.
that was pretty sweet. Bianchi's continue their dominance. There was a really
Did you
cool
see that
post.
graphic, Jake,
Yeah,
from the new? There's 9 state titles in the Bianchi family now, and they still
crazy.
have, he's got 2 more years.
Undefeated sophomore, 2 more years to go. Dominated in the finals.
To
Um,
think to think that when it's all said and done with Angie, to think that Joey Bianchi could be the least of those 4. I know they have another sibling as well. I believe one more. But of those 4, to think that Joey would be the least credentialed one as a 4-time finalist and 1-time champ is just absurd.
wild.
Like anybody that has that kind of credential, um, is like people are like, holy, you know what I mean? And to be, but in that family, you're like, low man. That's crazy.
Insane.
Wrestling royalty in the state for sure.
Yeah. Taylor Whiting with a win over Ava Peters. 2 undefeateds in the finals. 3-2 win for her. She's following pace of her brother, possible 4-timer. She was undefeated as a sophomore. But yeah, a lot of really good matches. Um, Not next year, but the year after, we'll start to see some girls that would be 4-timers that started in the Kohl Center. There's a few of them. But any other matches in the finals that stuck out to you before we move on? I got some stats pulled up.
Ingham Daly was really cool. I just the mat game didn't play as much of a factor. I think Silas, after watching it, I think Silas is a little bit better actually on the mat on top than Wyatt is. That's my take. Not good enough to turn him though. So like if we're looking at little level differences here, I think Silas is probably a little bit better on the mat. But as I kind of suspected, I thought Wyatt would be better on the feet, and that's what played true. Especially getting that double leg takedown there on the edge. That was huge. That was a good match to watch. Just 2 high level guys trying to scrap it out. So
Oh yeah,
that one, I like that one.
they'll be.
And,
I'm sure they're going to see more of each other in the future. Both Big Ten commits.
yeah,
Um,
no kidding.
but we'll keep moving here. I got some stats. I like stats. We've got. I was just taking a look at some of the stuff earlier. Fastest fall, 13 seconds.
Hey,
It is interesting that all these are girls. I think the next best for the boys was like 8. So kind of interesting. Some really
wait,
quick falls. What?
was it 8? Wouldn't that be the fastest fall?
No, no, no. I'm saying like if you look at the top 10 of all divisions, I think at number 8 was a boy.
Oh,
The
oh,
girls held down the fastest fall for like the first 6 spots. Oh no,
yeah.
13 seconds is the fastest one.
You had a 4-second pin in high school, didn't you? I had a 13-second pin.
I did have a 4-second pin, yeah.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
Double leg to the back. I think it was at Battle in the Bay,
It
maybe.
was. I remember because you walked. I remember you coming right up to me. You're like, dude, I just pinned this guy in 4 seconds.
I remember watching that back. I was like, I think I maybe could have shaved a second off if the ref would have got down a little faster. Whatever.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. I'm like, dude, it was 4 seconds.
I
You're
want
like, the ref
3.
didn't get down right away.
He like was behind and he circled around. Whatever. It was a quick double leg. But so that was the fastest fall. Most pins, least time. Kind of crazy that Josie had 5. So obviously that's the most falls. On the backside, you get
Wait.
an extra match.
Oh, there we go.
But look at that.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Okay, so it's all girls again.
It is all girls, but Madison Burns 4-0 state title with that many falls. Brooke Huffman with also 4 falls, very fast state title at 4:57. So kind of interesting. All girls again. So those are the most pins, least time, and then
Jake,
most.
Josie had 5 pins.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I feel like that's a lot of mat. Like, yeah, it's
And
all of
she,
her wins basically, right?
and I
Every
think she
win.
ran. She had a nasty bar, maybe a bar half for her third place match, and I was like, that does not look comfortable. But yeah, she's a pinning machine. And then most match points or most single match points. Mirasola up top, 26 points in a match is kind of crazy. 25, then Hawken, and then Braden Johnson, and then Koji Campbell and Hawken it's a 3-way tie. Koji scored 21 points in 2 of his matches, and then Hawken scored 21 in one of his matches. So a little bit of a theme there. All boys this time. I feel like the girls, when they're dominating, they're just getting pins. not
Yeah,
necessarily racking up points per se. They're not cutting or stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, just some quick stats.
Connor and Cole.
Um,
That's Connor and Connor.
but we'll keep it moving here. Shout out Grappling Gardens. Grappling Gardens is a pumpkin and produce farm located in Richfield, Wisconsin. They're in maple syrup season right now, and they should have it available now, if not soon. So go check them out, grapplinggardens.com.
I love maple syrup.
You like maple syrup?
Jake, when I eat my pancakes, I
Just
take bottles of, yeah, I take the syrup container and I just, and you think I'm done. I'm still going. Like I literally like
you're a
there's a
pancake guy.
little I have a little pool, a little lake of syrup on my pancakes or waffles, whatever you eat syrup with. I
What's
literally
better?
have
What do you? What is your choice? Are you a pancake or a waffle guy?
pancakes,
Pancake.
chocolate chip pancakes. I
You were a
actually
little.
started doing this thing in my senior year of college where I didn't have chocolate chips one day, and I really I don't like I'll eat them, but they're just not as good plain pancakes. And I didn't have chocolate chips, but
You
I
put
did
chocolate
have
syrup.
mini. No, I had mini M
Oh,
and M's. So I made my pancakes and I sprinkled some mini M and M's in there instead, and then I cake it in with some syrup, a lot of sugar, and it was delicious. So now it's kind of like I kind of like it a little bit more than the chocolate chips. I'll do either one. Don't
you
beggars
were
can't be choosers.
you were a little upset when you had pancakes on Thursday morning and they weren't mixed into the batter.
Yeah, come on now.
They
We
were
went.
smeared
Yeah,
on
like
top.
when you go to
That's
restaurants
that.
and they just get lazy and they're like, yeah, we got chocolate chip pancakes, and they put all the chocolate chips on top of the top stack of the pancakes, and it's not like in any of the other like you lift up your first pancake and none of the other ones have it on there, so you have to like let's not be lazy, just sprinkle some in there for me, would you?
So it's little things, but check out Grappling Gardens. I love my hat, Freddie Freestyle. They've got merch on their website. It's a great hat. I believe it's a Richardson 112. Yep, best hat in the game. But check them out. We'll keep it moving here. Team State. We got it starting up on Friday night. We've got Division One quarterfinals at 5:30, and then the semifinals, I believe, are at 7:30. Um, but
For
what are
what?
we thinking here? What are our thoughts? Here's one of my thoughts. I guess I just posed a question and I'm gonna take it. A lot of people are upset with the Homestead seed. A lot of
A lot of
people are
thought
not
about
happy with it.
that.
They have beaten Hartford head to head and outplacement regionals.
They beat him at conference at the end at the conference tournament too. They beat Hartford, beat him in the duel.
That's wild.
Yes.
But they Homestead starts up with Kakana. We see 17-0, Homestead 11-1. McGuanago Menominee, I think, is going to be a very fun duel. And then on the bottom half, we got Rapids taking on Hartford, and then Arrowhead Muskego. Arrowhead Muskego duel that we saw. I believe you were at, right?
Yeah, I got to commentate that duel. Yep. It was
So if
good.
we're
It was a
look,
good duel. They Muskego was missing Sneer, the heavyweight at the time. Arrowhead was missing Fish and Crummer. Crummer is not going to be back, so they're still not going to have Crummer. So that's just like a don't consider it. I would assume, unless all of a sudden he just like does the Undertaker, comes out of the yeah. So I believe Crummer is out because he has been out. Um, so they have Fish back, I believe, for Arrowhead, but Muskego then has their heavyweight state qualifier back, Sneer. So Muskego won it by 10 or 11, I think, in the duel, something like that. Yeah. So I think Arrowhead will have to get some shakeups. I think they won't be able to wrestle straight up. They'll have some tricks, and they will. That's just kind of their thing. They're very strategic. So, but I still think Muskego probably is able to pull this one out. And then, yeah,
yeah, it's kind of interesting to see McGuanago and Muskego, obviously two Classic 8 teams. But man, do they have a lot of dual meets. Look at the rest of the field, like a 11-1 Homestead compared to
they spent
25.
a lot of
A lot of time in dual meet setting, which does it pay off? You get a little bit better as a coach strategizing against people. You get
I,
more time in a dual meet setting. Does that affect
yeah,
anything?
No, I think there's a I didn't even think of that element. Yeah, you get to play with your lineup so much more to figure out what's the best way to bump guys up or not bump guys up, stuff like that. What backup do you have that's really solid that you know you can put in there if you are doing that whole method? So yeah, I didn't think of that. That's a good point, Jake. The other one that I was gonna say is I know like those teams like McGuanago and Muskego specifically. They're good dual teams, right? And it gets them to team state. The reason they're good dual teams though is because of that 14 strong sort of mentality, and they don't have a lot of heavy hitters where it's like you go to a cheesehead or you go to some of these other tournaments where a school like Kakana may have 6 guys wrestling for top 3 or something like that, The Guanago or Muskego might have 1 or 2. So I know, talking with Coach Worsbicky, sometimes they like going to those dual tournaments because they can ensure their guys get 5 matches and they get plenty of mat time during the season, which makes sense to me.
Yeah, and as I said, 3 Classic 8 teams. These teams have had experience in those tight, like they're not just going out there like Akana might be just stomping everybody in conference. I mean, they're having good duels consistently throughout the season, just in conference play. So that's something to think about. But I definitely think Kakana makes it out on the top half, and I think we'll see
Mhm.
a rapid showdown in the
Do you
final.
think I have a question. Do you think Charlie Millard is going to bump up to wrestle Liam Crook? Because Charlie Millard, I bring this up because somebody I don't know what profile it was, but there was some profile on Instagram that put out the poll, who do you have if Millard bumps up? And I saw Charlie shared that story on his Instagram story. So now we're getting into the
Playing
weeds.
into it.
Right, we're getting into the thick of things, getting into the little weeds. But yeah, he definitely played into it a little bit. So I'm like, oh boy. I was like, Charlie could bump up. I know when we tried to when we did the big cheese, I know Charlie really wanted to make that match happen with that 4-man bracket. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be interesting. I mean, if you look at it from like a dual meet sense, um,
I don't know if it all that helps
Homestead,
because
yeah, but is Homestead even in the, like? So I remember I used to always wanted to bump up to wrestle the better kid, and my coach was like, if the duel's out of reach, either in a sense that we're gonna win or lose, you can bump to whatever you want to do. I was like, all right, that's fine. Is Homestead just gonna be too? Um,
far
they're just not
out.
gonna have the firepower to beat them. Is Charlie just gonna be like, all right, I want to bump up, and they're gonna let it happen? So
They
that
have
happens.
some I'll tell you what right. I
But
think
they
that's
have
how
like a
it happened.
sneaky good line. I mean, they're
They have
not
a
to the
scrappy lineup.
level.
They had a scrappy
Yes,
lineup that was wrestling really well at the end of the year.
yes, and I think
I'll
I
tell you
mean
that.
they
They
had
have a
what? How
scrappy lineup.
many? They had like over 6 make it to state. I mean, they had a
They had 8. I believe they had 8
8.
qualified for state. Yeah, so, like, they have a scrappy lineup, and I know Kakana is gonna be the big hidden favorites here, and, I don't think anybody denies that, but I don't think this is one of those, duels where Kakana can just throw out, 6 of their backups and be like, "Alright, we'll wrap this up." Like,
Yeah.
I think you gotta at least be ready for Homestead because 'cause they're gonna be scrappy.
Yes, and when you look at Homestead, you see an 8 next to the name, but if you don't know the details, they've beaten the 6 seeds. So it's like we could easily flop this and be looking at it a little bit differently. But I think Akana Rapids final. I think it's going to be a great duel. We'll be breaking it down in our preview and whatnot. But anything else from
Yeah,
D1
that'll
before
come
we
out today. The D1 preview's coming out today.
beautiful, and then we will. We got D2 sitting up top is Casco 19-0. They'll be taking on Kewaskum, the 4 seed 8-2. And then number 2 seed St. Croix Falls 15-1, taking on Prairie du Chien 27-4. What are we thinking about this 4-man bracket here?
Well, I'd say I again, we've talked about Kewaskum, I feel like numerous times. To this year, not their year, right? And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it next week, but I don't think I'm wrong. This year, not their year, but they've proven that they are tough and they're young. So I do think these next coming years, I honestly think they're just getting so much better, and
Yep.
they're a big threat. I think they could have potentially made the finals had they gotten the 2 or the 3 seed. But I didn't think any of these teams getting the 1 seed was going to be Casco. So I got Casco winning the whole thing, and honestly, that's kind of I think what probably matters the most. Out of the 2 and 3, I could see both of those teams winning. Um, Obviously, Prairie du Chien being there last year. I don't have a good gauge on it. I didn't get to watch a lot of St. Croix Falls wrestle this year, so
Yeah.
other
I,
like even their guys, like I can look at the matchups of the head to heads and stuff, but I still didn't get to see many of their guys wrestle this year.
yeah. No, I think. I mean, we were talking about at state. Kewaskum, obviously, they made it to team sectionals last year. They were in a super loaded one with Lodi and Prairie du Chien. Obviously, Prairie du Chien made it out of that one, but now they're in team state. They have a really young lineup. They continue to add pieces as they get these next couple of classes in, but just don't have the firepower yet to beat Casco. I think Casco wins convincingly over any of these three teams, and I got Casco taking the title. Are we going to see another Nate sign? That was the best. We only saw one sign last year, and it was you on
Oh,
top of the
great.
podium. That was so funny.
Yeah. That was so cool. I hope there's another Nate sign. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I believe it was the Delabrew family made a sign for me, and it was like a little podium, and I was on top with Jake and Teague below because I picked Casco at the beginning of the year to win Team State last year, and I stood by with diamond hands the whole time.
We'll move to D3. We got D3 action here. Fenimore, 1 seed, 15-1, taking on number 4 Cumberland, 19-5. And then we got WIwrestle Fremont, 19-1 as a 2 seed. And number 3 Coleman, 15-4. I think that this is kind of a similar story to D2. We saw the best duel, which I think should have been the state finals between Iowa Grant, or not Iowa Grant, Aquinas and Fenimore. And Fenimore controlled. They won by 15 plus points. So I think Fenimore, I'm going to say a bold statement here. I think Fenimore wins by 25 over any of these teams.
Oh,
I think they just
that's a big line.
dominate. They got through.
Yeah,
That's,
that's big.
yeah.
Well, I do I won't wait around. I do think Fenimore wins this one pretty convincingly, but I am really interested in watching the 2-3 there with Coleman and Wairiga. I just think I really think this will be a very competitive duel and just a fun duel to watch. I think both teams are probably going to be scrapping it out. It's going to have like those, you're going to have one bench going crazy, and then all of a sudden the other one's going to be down and quiet, and then it's going to flip. I feel like this has the makings for a really good duel. I remember at one point this year, I was going through the D3 rankings, and Wyega had, oh man, it felt like their whole lineup, and I know it wasn't. Maybe it was like 9 guys or something, but they had a lot of guys that were in the rankings, whether it was like 12th or 6th or something, but they were all in the top 12. So they have a strong lineup top to bottom. Also, if Wyega makes it to the finals, I think it'd be fun to watch a heavyweight rematch of 1 and 2 in the state. And this time Hoffman will start 0-0 in that match, knowing hopefully just,
A little bit more
I
mad.
think, yeah. So that'll be cool. But I think this has that duel, that semifinal with 2 and 3. I think that has the makings for a really good duel, and I think the crowd for Coleman is going to be rocking, and I don't think Wyoming Fremont has the same kind of fan base that Coleman has. I don't think a lot of places in the state have the same kind of fan base that Coleman has. So I would
I
love to see
agree
them
with that.
show up and just be loud and just get
When you
after it.
when you drive into Coleman, there is a sign that greets you with how many team state titles they have. That is so
There's a
badass.
handful of those. There's a handful of those in the state. I know Wrightstown has one too. How many team state titles they have and stuff. It is so cool when you
It's
walk in and
amazing.
that stuff.
I should have gotten
Yeah,
out of
it's
the
not
car
football. It's
and
not. It's
taken a picture.
wrestling.
But no, I agree with that. The when you get into that environment and you have your fans behind you, it is such a game changer. Um, one thing I
It
love
matters.
One thing I love about Team State is the bands. I hope schools are bringing bands. I love the bands. It makes it loud. It adds a different element. Um, but man, I said it last year. I guess I didn't like rate them, but I just picked out my favorite. Fenimore was insane last year. I'm curious to see what teams bring strong
They
groups.
have a
They
sea of
had,
yellow. It's insane. It's so
they
cool, and they
had
have the mascot
the
running around.
mascot. They had the custom flag. I mean, just at the team sectional, it was like it felt almost unfair that we were in Fenimore's gym, like that. It
They're
was
so.
student section, alumni section. You don't see that too. There was a full blown
So
student section
chaotic.
and alumni,
There's
and then
it's so great.
the mascots were taking laps around the gym. It was awesome.
It's such
Um,
organized chaos. It's so great. It's like these are small towns, and I think they just empty the entire town out for,
they're
and it's like your Friday Night Lights.
they were all
It's
packed into that gym.
yeah.
But that's all we got from Team State. We'll keep it rolling here after a quick thing. We got Combat Corner. Shout out to Combat Corner. Check them out, combatcorner.com. If you guys need, maybe you got a club, you got some freestyle singlets, you need red and blue, you need some gear for this off season, make sure to check them out, combatcorner.com, and on all the socials. If you guys need help getting in touch with them, let us know, and we'll be happy to help. But yeah, combatcorner.com.
He had a tournament. He came down for they came down for the placement rounds and the state finals and stuff. So that
Yep.
was cool.
Always good to see Dan. But yeah, hit them up for all your gear needs. But we will keep her moving here. We got one last thing. We've got some college talk. The Badgers took on UNI on Sunday. And the final, I got it right here. Final was 27-11. Here are the match results. No Badgers Den this week, but Nick, give us your thoughts on that. Not on
Uh,
but just on the duel in
not,
general.
I mean, not great.
Yeah.
Not great. Um, yeah, I mean the guys that you think are gonna win, Barnett, Hamidi,
Win.
like yeah, they win, but two guys don't make a team. Now, I mean Zargo won, but like two guys don't make a team, and I know you can do well at the nationals and stuff with two heavy hitters like those guys are, but still like need a full team to win a duel, and they don't have that yet. Yeah, not legal. Obviously has a really tough matchup with Parker. That's, but yeah, I don't have a lot to say. So, what do you think? You're on a good dual team. Missouri was always a good dual team.
Yeah. What about it though? It is fun.
Yeah,
um,
well, I just mean um, like you guys always knew you would be in every duel that you were wrestling.
yeah.
Like you could
Yeah.
look at this duel ahead of time and you're like, man, this is and there was a few of those this year, right? I mean, that's what happens if you're not the favorite, but you can look at it and you're like, this is gonna be an uphill fight.
Yeah. And I think what you said perfectly. You got two guys that you know are gonna win. And then I think Zargo is kind of like that lower tier where he's going to win a majority of his matches, but then after that, you really don't know what you're going to get. And I
Baylor
think
and
that,
Leo have been wrestling good, but again, yeah,
yeah,
but
those two. So that's five guys, right? So that's half your
it
lineup.
still doesn't get you a win
Yeah.
all the time.
So um, you got the heavy hitters, but you just don't have a ton of depth elsewhere. You also kind of been throwing in some red shirts here and there. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens at Big Tens. Um, Hopefully, Dean can get a title. Hopefully, Barnett can show up and wrestle really well. Hopefully,
Barnett
some
can get a title
people
too.
sneak in there and kind of shock us. But um, this is the big time now. This is where we're really going to see what we're made of. And like you said, uh, you might have
Yeah,
those
for all
two
intents
guys
and
that do
purposes,
really what?
well, I was gonna say because there's no dual national title. For all intents and purposes, duels don't even matter. Like they
Yes.
don't. Everyone knows that. Which I hate because I do think that's the most truest form to judge how good a team is duels because it takes a whole team. It takes the backups. It's not just your four starters or something. So I do think duel like I wish they mattered. I really do. But for all purposes, they don't. And now the Big Tens and the national tournament is what that's what people are really going to hang their hat on. So we have the makings to do well. We have those heavy hitters that you need to score you a bunch of points. So yeah, so it's kind of up to them. You don't want to put it all on their shoulders or anything like that. And I'm sure those guys don't think that way, but they have the makings to do well at both.
100%. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Excited to see how it plays out. Um, It'll be interesting to see like this off season if they bring in like a big transfer. That seems to be the theme for them. um,
I think it's starting to be the theme for everyone too, though.
yes, but it will
Look at
be
some. the transfers they've brought in, Michigan and Penn State. Like, it's
Yeah,
not just. I'd say that it's not
but
just Wisconsin. It's like
100%,
people
it's not just
great to
Wisconsin, but
upgrade.
they have been. I mean, every year for the past 5 years, they brought in like at least one person that was like an NCAA qualifier level guy,
At
and then
184, they brought
at
somebody in.
84 they had like every year. Um, but it'd be interesting to see this next recruiting class, what happens with them. This is I was thinking about this today. I mean, it's typical at this point when you post a graphic about a kid not going to Wisconsin, you get a bunch of people in the comments. When's the last time that Wisconsin landed the number one recruit from Wisconsin?
I have no idea. I don't know all the number one recruits.
Well, you think
Throw me
back
on
to
the
years
bus.
past, you've got like, so this year you could say Hopkey or Mirasola or Sinclair, like that grouping. Or for that,
Yeah,
a lot like top three. The one year was Keegan, one year probably Parker, one year maybe was Mako or Dow, or then you've got, I
I
guess,
think there's probably somebody we're forgetting.
O'Toole was one year. Um, when's the last time, like, because I know 20, like Bresky ended up at where he went to
Went to
Nebraska.
Nebraska. He committed to Nebraska.
But like, when's the
He went
last time that like the best guy in his class for Wisconsin actually went to Wisconsin? I think it's kind of interesting. I thought about that today. I was like, I wonder when. So if someone knows in the comments,
You're a Mizzou homer, but yeah, I understand.
that's
I
not
don't
being
know.
Mizzou homer. That's just
I don't
thinking
know who the number ones are.
who would be the like. You get the question though. That has nothing to do
No,
with
I do.
you.
I couldn't give you an answer. I also don't know who the top. I'm trying to like think of each class, and it's all kind of jumbling together. And if of like who the best guys were each of the past like say 5 years, 6 years. I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah, be interested. I'm sure
Evan
someone.
Peterson, what Tim Spray says. That was a while ago.
Did he go to Met? He went to Wisconsin. That was middle school for me. That was a long time
Or
ago.
Jesse Thilke was a long time ago, but he would have been one.
Yeah, that was like
That's a long time ago.
2011.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, because
over 10 years
2011
ago.
was the year that we were comparing 2011 senior class to this year's senior class, and it was like Derringer and Soufflon and Thilke, a couple of those Rapids guys. But I don't know, something I was thinking about. But
It's a good question.
anything else that is on your mind that you want to talk about while we're here? Any other colleges?
D2 and D3 regionals are this weekend. If we're on college talk, we don't have to go through it all, but Division 2, the guys are flying out to Minot, North Dakota for regionals. It's their national qualifier. In Division 3, if you are in the state of Wisconsin, which all of you are, it's at D3 regionals is at Stevens Point. So all of your in-state teams are going to be at Stevens Point this weekend, I believe it is. And they are having their national qualifier, which is in lacrosse in a couple of weeks. So we got regionals at Stevens Point, and we got nationals in lacrosse for Division 3. And Parkside's wrestling this weekend at the Division 2 one in Minot. So
How
big tournaments. Keep an eye on them
this
for
is
all the.
probably a dumb question. These regionals are fairly large, right? I mean, they're
Yeah,
big.
they're top. Yeah, they're
And it's
big.
top three qualifies.
Top 3, and like I believe Division 3 usually has like 12 teams or something like that. I think I don't know. It's they're pretty good. I would have try to pull up on track, but let's see how
Gotcha.
many teams are in the browse. Give me 2 seconds here, Jake. I'll get it. I'll get it pulled up here real fast. Don't worry.
Fast. I can
Okay,
see.
I got it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Division 3, Upper Midwest Regional. Let's see. Augsburg, Aurora, Carthage, Concordia, Elmhurst, Lakeland, Linfield, MSOE, Pacific University, St. John's, University of Chicago, Wheaton, Eau Claire, La Crosse, Oshkosh, Platteville, Stevens Point, Whitewater. How many is that?
I don't know. A lot. Over 10.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 19 teams in their regional. Only the top 3 go. And
Oh no. I think you froze. Can you hear me? Oh, I got you back.
yeah, I can hear you. It's a really, really tough regional. Very tough.
Well, how many guys do you think will get out of that regional for Parkside?
That was D3.
Oh.
So that's lacrosse on everyone.
What's
It's gonna be tough.
what's the most This is a D2 question. What's the most of recent years that like Parkside's qualified? Like, what's a normal year for them? What's a good year? Do you not know? Like the year you were there, what?
I should call Becker. I don't know. In 2017, they took third in the country. I think they had 8 guys at the national tournament or something like that, and they All American like 6 or something. They're pretty good. Like yeah, I don't know. They're a good team. This year, they legitimately all 10 have a shot at qualifying, like legit. But I don't think all 10 will qualify. I think they'll probably be somewhere in the realistically 6 or 7 range on a good day, maybe 8. That'd be a really good day if they had 8. And
Yeah,
then the best day obviously is 10. But I think they'll probably realistically be in the 6 or 7. It's a really tough, just like the Division 3 guys. Like their Parkside's in a very tough regional.
yeah.
So
Well, good luck to them. Make sure you follow along. I love this time of year for college, postseason time.
love
But
it.
if that's all you got, we'll sign off here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you this weekend at Madison.